I had dreamed about that contract for years. It was my first real step toward independence, a job offer with a salary high enough to finally get out of my parents' house. I had studied late nights, skipped meals, worked unpaid internships just to get my foot in the door, and finally, a company had noticed me. The letter was printed on heavy paper, the ink crisp, my name typed across the top like proof that I mattered. I came home with the envelope clutched to my chest, my hands shaking with pride. I shouldn't have expected celebration, but a part of me still thought maybe this would be the thing that made them proud. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Dad sat in the living room, sprawled on the couch with the TV blaring. Mom scrolled through her phone, sipping her wine. My younger sister, Lily, sat cross-legged on the carpet, painting her nails. "Guess what?" I said, my voice trembling with excitement. "I got the job. They want me to start in 2 weeks." For a moment, silence. Then Lily rolled her eyes. "Wow, someone actually hired you? What, for taking out trash?" Mom snickered, not looking up. "Careful, Lily. Trash might sue for the insult." Dad reached out his hand lazily. "Let me see." I handed him the letter, heart pounding. He skimmed the words, his brow tightening. Then, without a word, he ripped the contract in half. The sound of tearing paper sliced through me. "Your future?" Dad barked, throwing the pieces on the floor. "A joke. No one wants you. You'll quit in a month like everything else you've failed at." My breath caught. "Dad, please." He stood, towering over me, his voice sharp and cruel. "You think this family is going to celebrate you? You're a waste. You'll never be more than a burden." Lily giggled, blowing on her nails. "Don't cry, sis. You'll smear your loser makeup." Mom finally looked up, her eyes cold. "Why can't you just accept it? Lily is the one with potential. You're just extra weight." The laughter, the ripping, the humiliation, it all pressed down on me until I thought I might break. My chest burned, my throat ached, but I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I bent down, slowly gathering the shredded pieces of my contract, hands trembling but steady. Dad sneered. "Look at you crawling for scraps. That's all you'll ever be." But inside me, something shifted. I wasn't crawling. I was collecting proof. Proof that one day, when I stood taller than all of them, I'd remember exactly what they said. I pressed the torn paper to my chest, swallowing the fire rising in my throat. I didn't say a word. Because the next words I spoke to them would not be pleas. They would be the sound of their downfall. The days after my dad ripped up my contract felt like walking through ash. My room was filled with shredded paper I had tried to tape back together, but no matter how hard I worked, the contract couldn't be restored. Every corner reminded me of their laughter. They thought they had crushed me. Maybe they even believed I'd just sink deeper into silence, still cleaning up after their messes, still taking their insults like oxygen. But something inside me was finished. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I simply started building quietly this time, not for their approval, but for my escape. At night, while they mocked me from the living room, I sat on my bed scrolling through job postings, submitting applications, cold emailing recruiters. I borrowed library computers to finish my resume. I took side gigs, tutoring kids, proofreading, even late-night shifts at a diner, anything that gave me a little more independence. I kept every dollar in a hidden account, cash folded into old notebooks, tucked into shoes at the back of my closet. At home, the insults grew sharper. One night, Dad slammed his fist on the dinner table, sneering. "Still here? You can't even get one company to call back." Mom sighed dramatically, sipping her wine. "Maybe if you were half as useful as your sister, you wouldn't be dead weight." Lily smirked, holding up her freshly manicured hand. "Don't worry, sis. When I get famous, maybe I'll hire you as my assistant. You can clean my shoes for real this time." Their laughter filled the room again. But I didn't flinch. I let their words wash over me, keeping my face blank, because what they didn't know was that while they laughed, I was building something they couldn't touch. 2 weeks later, I got another offer. This time, I didn't tell them. I accepted it quietly, started the onboarding process online, and saved every login, every confirmation email. I made sure all the paperwork was digital, nothing that could be ripped apart. My first day on the job felt like breathing clean air for the first time in years. The office was modest, but to me, it looked like freedom. My manager shook my hand, welcomed me aboard, and for the first time, I felt like someone saw me as more than trash. I worked harder than I ever had in my life. Early mornings, late nights, endless projects. While my parents called me useless at home, I was earning the respect of people who actually valued me. I stayed silent, though. I didn't give them the satisfaction of knowing I'd succeeded. Weeks turned into months, and I rose quickly. My name was attached to projects that drew attention from higher-ups. People started coming to me for advice. For once, I wasn't the joke, I was the answer. But at home? They kept up the charade. One night, Dad barked from the couch, "Go get me another beer, waste." Mom added, "Don't forget, you owe us for raising you. You wouldn't survive one day without this roof." Nicole smirked, scrolling on her phone. "She doesn't even have friends, Mom. No one wants her." I kept serving plates, picking up their trash, nodding silently, because I knew what was coming. It all started unraveling for them the night Dad's business deal collapsed. He had been bragging for weeks about some partnership, telling everyone at the bar that he'd be making real money soon. But one evening, I overheard him on the phone, shouting, his voice breaking. "You can't pull out now! I gave you my word!" Then silence. The next day, he stormed around the house, slamming doors. "Those idiots don't know what they're losing. I'll find someone else." But he didn't. Bills started piling up. Debt collectors called. The same man who ripped my future to shreds was now watching his own slip away. Mom wasn't any better. Her friends started whispering behind her back. The bridge nights grew quieter. Invitations stopped coming. She still dressed in pearls and poured wine, but her hands trembled as she held the glass. Nicole's little empire of selfies cracked too. A girl she thought was her friend posted screenshots of her mocking texts online. Suddenly, her followers turned, comments filled with fire. Fake. Cruel. Jealous brat. Our house, once so loud with their laughter, grew quiet. But they never admitted it. Instead, they turned sharper on me. Dad cornered me one night, his face red. "This is your fault. If you weren't so useless, maybe we'd have something left." Mom spat. "You curse this family every time you breathe." Nicole hissed, "You'll never be more than our maid." I stood still, silent, my jaw tight, because by then, my salary had doubled. My savings grew. My manager had just hinted at a promotion. And I was already moving pieces into place. I had rented my own apartment across town, fully furnished and ready. The keys sat heavy in my pocket as I scrubbed their dishes and vacuumed their floors. They thought they still had me trapped. But I was weeks away from walking out forever. And I wasn't leaving quietly. I wasn't going to expose them to relatives. I wasn't going to show anyone footage. This wasn't about proving what they did. This was about making them feel exactly what they made me feel. Powerless, desperate, begging. And soon, they'd be the ones standing at a door pleading for scraps. Only this time, the door would be mine. The morning it happened, I was sitting at my new office desk, sunlight pouring through tall glass windows. My nameplate gleamed Hannah Collins, project lead. The same hands my dad once called useless, now signed contracts worth more than he had ever handled in his life. I was reviewing documents when the receptionist buzzed in. "There's a man downstairs asking to see you. Says it's urgent." I barely glanced up. "What's his name?" A pause. Then her voice dropped. "Collins. He says he's your father." The words felt like ice down my spine, but I didn't flinch. I rose slowly, heels clicking across the polished floor, every step echoing like thunder. When the elevator doors opened, there he was, my father, the man who ripped my contract and called my future a joke, standing in the lobby with sweat dripping down his temples, his shirt wrinkled, his eyes darting nervously. He looked smaller, weaker, like someone had stripped away the bark he used to hide behind. "Hannah," he said, his voice rough. We need to talk." I said nothing, just stared. He shifted, cleared his throat. Things at the house, they're bad. I lost my business. Your mom's friends won't even answer her calls. She's been humiliated. We don't have anyone else. I let the silence stretch, just long enough for his desperation to choke him. Finally, I tilted my head. Didn't you say my future was a joke? That I'd never be more than a waste? His lips trembled. I was wrong. I didn't mean... I cut him off. You tore my contract in half. In front of everyone. Do you know what that felt like? His face crumbled. Please, Hannah, I'm begging you. Help us. Lend us money. We'll lose the house. For the first time in my life, my father, the man who never bent, never apologized, was standing in front of me with his hands shaking. And I realized this was my moment. I didn't scream. I didn't lash out. I leaned close, just enough for him to hear me. Now you know what it feels like to beg at a door. Then I turned to the receptionist. Escort him out. Her eyes widened, but she nodded. 2 security guards stepped forward. My father tried to protest, his voice rising, but it was too late. The man who once boomed through our house, calling me useless, was being walked out like nothing more than a nuisance. I didn't look back. That night, Mom showed up outside my apartment. Her makeup smeared, hair disheveled, clutching a half-empty bottle of wine. Hannah, she slurred, you can't just leave us like this. I raised you. You owe me. Don't you understand? Without you, we'll be nothing. I opened the door just wide enough to meet her eyes. Exactly. And I shut it in her face. Her fists pounded against the wood, her shrieks echoing in the hallway. But I didn't move. Eventually, her voice cracked, and she slid down the door, sobbing into silence. Nicole came last. She texted me endlessly, calling me names, then begging, then threatening. Finally, she showed up at my office parking lot, tears streaming down her face. You don't get it, she screamed. They're turning on me, Hannah. Everyone. My followers, my friends. I can't live like this. Please, just tell people I'm not a fraud. I walked past her, unlocking my car without a glance. She grabbed my arm. Please, you're my sister. I pulled free, my voice cold. You made me clean your shoes in front of a crowd. Now you can clean up your own mess. Her sobs echoed in the lot as I drove away, her image shrinking in the rearview mirror. For the first time in my life, the house I grew up in wasn't my cage anymore. I had my own keys, my own salary, my own respect. And them? They were left with exactly what they gave me: humiliation, loneliness, and silence. They used to laugh when I crawled. Now they were the ones on their knees, begging at doors that would never open again. And the best part? I didn't need to lift a hand to destroy them. All I had to do was succeed. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.